Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Ben from Universal Audio. Welcome back to another Luna Office Hours. Today is going to be a really fun and special one because we've got some special guests from the band, the YouTube sensations, Walk Off the Earth. What's up, Tokyo?
Yo, yo, yo. What's up, boys?
How you doing today?
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm doing awesome. My computer's doing okay. So we'll see what happens when we run 5 apps to send audio back and forth to each other.
Right?
We'll cross our fingers, not too many crashes, and yeah, man, let's make music.
Nice. Well, actually, here, let me stop your screen share here for a second, so it can just be the two of us, and then we'll bring Luna back here in a moment.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. So, for people, hopefully people are already familiar with you guys' work. You guys make incredible parodies and covers and really fun and original music too, right? And do YouTube videos basically for every song.
Well, every song might be a little audacious, but sure.
But so what's kind of like your guys' typical writing? Because it's obviously it's a group. So what's that writing and production process typically like for you guys?
It can be a number of different ways. Like, for example, they'll have a couple ideas in mind, and then they'll be working with a co-writer on something special, and then I'll jump in and start looking at sounds and things like that, or different lyric ideas, and then the whole band's actually quite involved, and so it's kind of nice in that sense that it's extremely collaborative.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, as we speak, you might hear some tapping and banging in the background. That is literally Joel practicing on his electric kit downstairs. So then if I have an idea, I could be like, hey, man, what do you think about this? And he's like, oh, this is cool. Or Johnny will be like, oh, we can actually try it this way instead. And then, so I'm kind of I'm the bucket the idea drop into. And so I've been with these guys for the last 2-3 years maybe. And just been dropping ideas into buckets and me trying to organize them into a musical way. Kind of what we do.
Nice. So then you're kind of the center point, right? The focus where everything kind of flows back into, and then you're making editing, arrangement, and sonic kind of helping marry all that stuff together and give it some sort of cohesion, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then obviously Johnny is really, really hands-on with that as well. So we'll bounce ideas back and forth. I mean, we were today's my first random day back into the studio, and then I'm heading back out again. But while we were at a distance, we were shooting back ideas over Zoom, and I think that's actually what got us thinking about doing this. Was we were doing this anyway, and we're like, oh man, I can control his console through screen takeover or whatever it is, controlling remote screen.
Yeah.
It was adjusting his preamps at my end through his screen with extreme latency, but it was fine. Because it's just like a DV or something, or compression or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And I'm not he's not recording through the internet. He's recording locally, but I'm controlling the sound of it from a distance.
Nice. So you guys have gone full on with the remote collaboration and being able to still collaborate, make music together, really work on the sonics together, but be in separate studios until today.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. What so where who usually kind of spearheads or kind of starts off the productions or for the tunes?
That can be anyone. I mean, often what'll happen is maybe someone will have already had a song written. Johnny and Sarah do a ton of writing. Or I'll have a song that I had started writing, or Joel, and and for production styles, G might already have some ideas down. Then I'll start picking up oh well, what if we tried a different approach to this way? Joel often has completely different approaches or different ideas, which is really good, because then he's like, well, what if we just scrap this entirely? And a couple times it's saved our bacon. It's oh, we like this part, and it was like, you know what, get rid of it, and then we'll get rid of it. This is substantially better. so it's actually good to have a wide swath of production opinions from which to pick from, because then we can have a much better coagulated much more cohesive output at the end.
Yeah. Does that ever create extra tension though? Of like, do people like love ideas, or man, my guitar part was perfect. Why, like, we have to keep it in there, and then, or is everyone pretty low ego and kind of cool about that stuff?
Oh, I have the biggest ego of all time. When I put a guitar part in there, if I put a guitar part in there and like it doesn't get like 12 dB above the vocal, I'm so pissed. So like, we just finished a song a couple days ago, a brand new single, and I had this acoustic that I had recorded, and I was like so stoked. It sounded so good. I had recorded it in my mom's, like my original kid's bedroom where I was staying with my wife, and we're tracking this part. And it's so gorgeous, and I recorded every part of the picking pattern separately on different strings. So I'm just like da 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 to the next strung, ding ding ding, and then I built it so that this acoustic guitar that's being played is panned, so that the strings hit different speakers.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like so it's a typical like 1 3 5 3 1 3 5 3 1 5 7 5 1 whatever it is, arpeggio. But so it sounds really simple, but it's actually really really wide and like unique in the sense that you wouldn't know how it was recorded or played.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's gorgeous, and then I dropped the whole thing down an octave with some polyphonic in Pro Tools, and it had this really janky, cool sound to it. And I was like, oh man, this is what I want for the verse.
Yeah.
And then I put it in. I was like super excited. I was like anticipating to be like, God, okay, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And he listens, like he's like, yeah, no, take it out. Like, it's like, yeah, it sounded better when you turned it down, and then it sounded better when it was off. And then I was like, of course, my little like puppy ego. I was like, yeah. But then that's exactly why you need more than. That's why not all. That's why so many of the best songs, so many of the best productions, so much of the best arrangement is done in collabs and collaborations when someone can bounce an idea off someone else. Like there's no mystery there that like the top Spotify songs, if you look at the list and Billboard and stuff like that, there's a reason why there's so many collaborations. It's not just for looks or for collaborative like co-popularity things. It's also because writing in the room with someone, working in the room with someone else, you're not only are you trying to like keep innovating and keep the person not impressed per se, but keep them intrigued.
Yeah.
It keeps you from getting stagnant in your own ideas as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we all need, right? You can do, of course, there's great examples, right, of doing it fully solo and going, Prince's, Bon Iver, like there's people who out there can do that and they do it incredibly well. But at the same time, they also all appreciate collaborating with other musicians, producers, like getting that point of feedback and just perspective. Because especially, if you spend the entire day overdubbing yourself playing beautiful guitar arpeggio and panning it all around and dropping it, like you do this incredible, you pulled off this really cool thing, and it is like, I can imagine sonically and musically, it's all really cool and interesting, and then if it's not right, it's not right.
You put the lead vocal in, you're like, oh, you can't have that there.
Yeah.
So hey,
whatever. It is exactly. That's cool. Good to know that your fragile ego is recovered from that. But
in all seriousness, I don't attach myself too much to what I consider someone else's music. Like if I was going to release music under my own name, which I have done in the past, of course I can make those decisions and be personal about the sound of something and having a connection to, like, I sampled this cup and I really like the cup because I drink it every day and like it's the tone I want. And now I resampled in Contact and now that's my synth. And it means something more to me because it's important. Like I used to work a lot out of a place, the now non-existent Solar Sound Studios back in London, Ontario, with an awesome engineer called Paul Mack, and him and I really dug into that kind of thing quite a bit. He's incredible, and he was always pushing me to be like, well, what about thinking about brand new ideas? What about resampling things? And like, so we'd get the tape measure out, and like put the sine wave at exactly the right distance away, so like get the microphone, so that when you hit that one note, the waveform completes when it hits that microphone. and then just create a tunnel around it so that none of the sound escapes, and all that kind of crap. So like him and I would like go back and forth, be like, what if we did this? What if we did that?
Uh-huh.
And then if someone's like, you know what, that weird tone you made going out of the Rev 500 into that amp and that and did all that work, it doesn't need to be in the song.
Mm-hmm.
If I wouldn't do that kind of stuff for someone else's music.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Because I would want to be disconnected enough to be like, yeah, you're right, it's not necessary, and I didn't spend a month doing something for nothing.
Yeah, a healthy detachment. And that's especially, a lot of people, if they're more in the producer, engineer kind of role, like that's kind of the name of the game, right? But it's the tricky thing when you also try to be an artist, like that's where it's like who ultimately gets to decide these things for a project, and sometimes it's a label or an A&R, sometimes it's the artists themselves, or like they're so it's always a dynamic situation, but you have to be very aware of kind of your role in it, and also just what's right, like what actually feels and reflects the song and gets the message across most effectively.
Absolutely. You nailed
Nice.
it.
Well, so you've just recently gotten yourself hooked up with Luna as well, haven't you?
Yep.
Nice. What are you thinking so far?
A few things. First off, the integration with console, so I use console every day, like absolutely every day, 10, 12 hours a day. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm unfamiliar with that platform.
Yeah.
Having a DAW, a recording system that is built directly into something that I'm already about to use, it's kind of like being able to take the training wheels off of the bike. So it's for me, I opened it 3 times now. I can count on one hand how many times I've opened it, because I had to update to Mojave and stuff like that to even try it out. First time I went to the settings page and I was like, wait,
this looks very familiar. Exactly.
Yeah.
Deja vu. What?
Yeah, exactly. So that was one thing that really knocks it out of the park for me, is having not to open up the console every time I go back into Pro Tools, and like having to switch back and forth and change the preamp inputs. For some reason, they're never like, they don't talk to each other.
Yep.
Logic has a couple like Logic certified, I don't know what they're called, but like there's some preamps or some interfaces that talk to Logic in a great way, that all the top bars you can actually control the preamps and stuff like that.
Yep.
And Pro Tools obviously has their entire, not HDX.
It's like the HD. There's HDX rigs, there's HD native, but they also have that remote mic pre thing that I think you can control stuff like that. Yeah.
That's what I got used to in school and stuff. We had those. We could control the preamps directly. So having that access again is a nice little step back into that world of where I'm used to having a console. I'm used to having a desk that I can grab something. I don't have to feel like I'm going into technically a third party desk or software to control what should be in one system.
Yeah, well, you nailed the exact reason why we made Luna. It was for that exact reason of like, going back and forth between console. It unlocks great sounds, and you're able to do a lot of powerful things in there. But it is such a more intuitive and creative workflow to just have it all in one place.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. And then so obviously instantly the minute you pick up Luna, you started checking out like instruments and playing around with production stuff inside of there. How's that been going for you so far?
Yeah, like I at first I was like, what is shape? Like, okay. Opened it up, and I've actually I opened up the first session I started playing around with, so I got some ideas together that are just exclusively from shape and from almost 100% from the shape. So it's just all the random like default sounds I found on the keyboard. I went through them.
Yeah.
And then some of them I ended up committing and then bringing back into Luna.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to actually like tune them and stuff like that. So it's extremely diverse in terms of like a factory like
just like the default sounds. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it takes me back to like the now extremely outdated Expand 2 that came with like Pro Tools or whatever it was. That
Yep.
like everyone when that first came out, everyone was like, "Oh, sick! Like, look at this orc hit too!"
Yep.
Pow 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 pow. And, like, every song had like pow 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 pow, and like that the one like ridiculous drum kit. So this is
Yeah.
great because like it takes the bar up a couple steps and actually just modernizes what should come with a recording system out of the box. So I was able to actually get some really like record ready sounding drums relatively fast on my 25 key garbage keyboard. So
Nice. Well,
that's a
do
good step.
you want to share? Go back, pop into Zoom, and just share your screen again, and let's start taking.
Yeah.
We could sit here and talk about shape, and all have a lot of fun. But it'd be way more fun to actually hear what you're making with it and kind of explore together.
Sure. Do I have to hide your little box here, or just
No, Zoom automatically hides that.
auto hides it? I assumed as much. I'm just as much a noob with Zoom as I am with Shape and Luna, so let's see what happens. So I had first I was playing around with Diva, which I'm sure many people are familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Just a nice little soft synth that I had playing around with, but I'm not used to using it in real time because it's quite a bit of a beast.
Yeah, it is.
So I tried to like dumb down the quality on it, and then I'm just running it through Cthulhu just to do. I was like too tired. I was like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I was like, I don't want to like write all these crazy chord parts, so I just
Yeah.
found a bunch of random.
What is this one? I've never seen that MIDI effect before.
Yeah, me neither. So let's explore it together. I got Cthulhu after watching Illmind. Do you know the name Illmind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've worked with him when I was back in New York City. We did a bunch of sessions together.
Jealous. Anyway,
Yeah, he's a
Guy's a
beast.
mon-
He's
guy's a beast.
He's such a beast. Well, and I love his workflow too. Like he's a very commit-minded workflow sort of guy.
Absolutely. I saw that and I was like, this is how that's what I want to live up to. I can't commit as earnestly as he does. I don't get that choice. If I make a commit and Jude's like, actually I don't like that sound. I'm like, well, I committed it. So it works for again the person versus third party production project. So
Yeah.
if someone's like, hey, produce this song, then absolutely I will. And I'm working on a different project randomly.
Mm-hmm.
I do get that freedom. So like on the spot, I'll be like, this is great. I'm never going to touch this compressor again. I just bake it.
Yeah.
So it completely depends on the end goal and like the process.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that would always be the case, but let's find out if that is the case today. So that brings me to my next question. How do I commit this Diva thing so I can move forward?
Yeah. So the best way to commit for right now is to go. Basically, we're gonna bounce the audio from that one track. We bounce it into audio. So if you do Option Command B, to pull up the mix down workflow.
Mm-hmm.
So up top where it says Sources, click on Main. And then now this allows you to select what you want to print. So you can select instrument and instrument 1. And now it's going to automatically it'll bounce those as flattened audio files, and then you just drag those back into Luna. And yeah, that's the way to do it right now.
Okay, cool. Because I like the sound I have here. Let's crank up the quality and burn it in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go up to Divine.
Dude, that thing will take your CPU and just run away with it. I love
Just
it.
sit on it like a sandwich, man. It's terrible. Awesome though. Like
It sounds super good, right?
yeah, it's ridiculous. So cool.
Nice.
My next question was while it's cooking, while my laptop actually cooking in this sunlight. Yeah, I have Joel downstairs. I'd love to import this, see what he thinks about like just the given stuff, and see if he has some ideas in terms of drums or things that he would put into place.
Yeah. You want to go grab him?
Yeah, sorry, go for it. Yeah, let me grab him. Let me see if he's available. 1 sec.
Mm-hmm.
Joel? Yo, I'm gonna send you a bounce in like 5.
Yeah, do it.
Sick. That was easy.
Mom, meatloaf.
Yeah,
Joel, drum
kind of
parts.
nailed it. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly kind of how the vibe is. I mean, he isn't always around.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Toronto, but he has been, at least before COVID-19 happened. He was in here quite a bit more often just because we had so many rehearsals to do and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the world
The
took a
world
dive. So,
just was like, hey, everybody stay home.
yeah, yeah, which has been really, really good. Have you been creative since the time? Like, have you been getting into that? And
I've been locked in this room and forced to live stream. Elite. No, I'm just joking. I've been. It's been fun, man. It's been really. It's so I literally like changed around. Typically, what we're doing is we're shooting videos, making trailers, doing live streams here or there for new product launches, and like we had all these cool plans for what we were gonna do for Luna, and then this thing all hit. So we're like, cool, get Luna out the door, and then okay, yeah, we can't send video crews anywhere. What should we? Oh yeah, let's do all the shows from at home and just instead of just doing it piecemeal or doing it bit by bit, let's just do a live show every single day where we get to come in, see how other people are using Luna, teach both the viewers and also our guests and everybody, just kind of all learn Luna alongside each other. Some of us obviously internally we had a little bit of a head start, but the cool thing is that it's I've learned so much from doing these shows. Like we'll show up, especially we do often on Fridays. We'll do like a Q&A show, and Drew or Connor or Lev will show up with like, hey, did you know it could do this? And like show us something completely new that like, wait a second, where was that in the manual? And they're like, it's in the manual. None of us had time to read it.
It's in the manual, which is no one had time to write it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the manual team, they were on top of it. I'd say they actually probably did some of they kind of switched. It's now like a living document. So like when you go to the help menu, it takes you to a website for the main manual.
Right.
But that's so they can update it in real time. And because so far we've already we've done 2 or 3 major updates to the app. Bug fixes, performance enhancements. So each time those roll out, like there's a lot of pieces that have to get in play each time.
Got you. I did notice just as I was opening it, I think yesterday something was like major update. I was like, okay. Yep. And then that's like awesome about the parabolic kind of curve of a new application or something like that. Is that at the very beginning you just get these massive leaps.
Yep.
And so if you jump in at like version 1.5, it's like completely different than 1.
Yep.
And like 2 is like 75% different than 0.5, and then it kind of finds its groove,
Well, and that's man. I'm so glad you picked up on that, because that's how I felt about it too. Is like at this early stages, it's still this like very moldable ball of clay. And what's been really cool, like you'll notice in the top right hand side of Luna, like there's a big feedback button, and that goes straight to the developers. So like literally, we have tens of thousands of pieces of feedback from users, letting us know what they want us to do next and what features are missing. What do they if they run into issues or like blockers. So we're learning so much, and it's helping prioritize what those things are. And you're so right. They're like right now it's V1. So like this is the time to kind of shape that base layer of what it's going to be and the foundation of it. And then it'll just keep on expanding on that and adding features, as we continue to grow.
Yeah, it's definitely the right way to do it. I've only seen ever like one other application have that big old feedback button. And it's kind of an indication being, hey, we pushed this out fast. What we do, what button on the keyboard do you press? And like, I thought it would do this.
Yeah.
Right. I've had a couple of those, but I don't remember what they are explicitly. But next time they come up, I will bring them up.
Nice.
So this is the idea I had prior.
Awesome.
Like the diva. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's like this. There's it crashing on me because it's not divine.
Yep.
Obviously. But let me just delete that track because now we have it.
Because now it's committed. It's living forever. Yep.
Delete. Okay.
And now you're yep.
There we go. Let's put some of that on there.
Yeah.
So pretty simple. Then it like gets into this thing over here. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I found these like crazy whack drums in shape.
Which
I think
which
I lost you maybe.
oh no.
Is it possible that I've lost your dialogue?
Check 1 2.
Yeah, you might be
Hello?
muted.
I'm seeing it come through over here. Did check your loop back maybe?
Change something or
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
oh, the Thunderbolt device disappeared.
Oh, I wonder if it's from
1 second.
it's showing up there. Yeah.
I'm still attached. Check. Yeah, my talkback is working. Check,
All right.
check, 1
But
2.
you're not getting me.
But this doesn't seem to be working anymore. Let's see here. Check.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah.
Check.
Shoot. Let's see here.
Troubleshooting
Yeah,
in
hey.
real time. So zoom Q.
Check.
Check.
I don't hear you anymore.
That's weird.
One more time.
Check 1 2.
I can hear the music just fine. I just don't hear you anymore.
Can you see my chats?
Okay, let's see.
Let's see. It's the beauty of live streaming, ladies and
Loop
gentlemen.
back. Might have died. Might need a restart. Change zoom out to built in. Okay, 1 second. This is the
I know.
magnificence of doing this.
Fully
The janky way,
live.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, zoom out to
There you go.
in. Let's try that.
There we go. Now you should be. Can you hear me out your
Okay,
speakers?
yeah, I hear you now.
There we go. What's funny is that everyone gets. We can still hear you fine. They can hear me fine. So there. This has been a fun little.
Okay, so you
fun,
can't hear me.
Yeah, which is really weird that we can still hear you, but it's obviously
Well.
half of the chain is frozen. So now you can hear my voice again. We can still hear your music. So restarting might just be a.
So loop back. If I switch this back over here, should I restart loop back?
No, it's gonna need a computer restart to because it's at a system level.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You're having some of the same
this is
problems.
fine.
Yeah. Well, is it press play? Let's just make sure we can still hear audio.
Yeah, 1 second.
Check.
Double check.
Yep, I'm getting that.
You guys still got music?
Yep.
Sick. Okay, just I'll have you going through my little computer speakers. That's fine. So yeah, as I was saying, there was like these. I think Shape also. 1 second. Let me close Luna. Shape has all their samples in Drive that I was plugged into the.
That would be why.
Yeah, let's reopen that with the hard drive back in, which it is now.
Nice.
Trying every possible way to slim down the bad boy. Keep her running clean. I can hear you great now, by the way.
Nice.
It is through my computer speakers, but that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, it should be totally fine.
Essentially, the feedback loop only happens if I'm putting you through the mains, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because
Right.
I'm audio hijack listening to your mains, or at least I was. Actually, no. Let me not do that because you're coming. Actually, your music's coming down the Zoom pipe still too.
Got you. So, this is a good question for you. If I have Shape, I went into the manage section and then
Yep.
I set my sample library location to an external hard drive.
Yep.
So if I don't have it plugged in and I open a session, will it auto relink once the session's reopened?
It should. In theory, it will remember where its samples are stored. But I have a question for you. The drive that you put those samples on, is it like a spinning disk drive or SSD drive?
A spinning disk.
Highly recommend, especially Shape will really benefit from it, but especially if you start using Ravel. We just highly recommend using an SSD drive for all the sample library stuff for Shape and Ravel, and Spitfire
I have
as well.
an SSD built in. I could just keep them on local. It's not that big. It's like 9 gigs.
Yeah, but also, have you seen the prices for SSD externals lately?
Dude, I have like my desk is full of them right now.
Dude, like the fact you can get like
an old stock.
Yeah. fancy carrying case there.
Yeah, it was like a cool looking like owl. And like the stock died, was a hole in it, so I cleaned it a bunch of times and then just used it as like my
hard drive
Samsung
stock.
T5 hard drive case because I didn't want it to get scratched. Now I just plug into this tiny little hole here.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, I got like my whole desk is covered in them. They're so cheap.
They really are these days.
Okay, let's get
There we
back
go.
into
But
it.
at least good. Shape came back. It's become more resilient. If this was week 1, I would have been worried that it would never come back to life.
Yeah.
But
I think she's doing okay. Let's check it out. Nice. And then
Hell yeah.
got deeper into it. Oh, so is there a shortcut to open up automation?
Yeah. Which automation do you want to see? Volume.
So I automate the set.
So the keyboard shortcut to show all so if you wanted to just quickly switch every track into volume automation mode, if you hit Option and minus on the keyboard, that quickly brings up the volume lane. But if, like you mentioned, if you want to see something specific for an instrument, so on instrument 1 where it says View, right now it says Clips. If you click on Clips, that'll bring up over in the Focus browser. That brings up all of the available ones. And
I see.
And then whatever has been automated will get, as you can see, we'll get a little orange highlight to it.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Cool. So on this delay here, so AU delighted to work here. So then I put in.
So you put in, you were trying to do it. So like while recording, any AU effects or AU inserts will be bypassed. That's kind of the trick that ARM, the Advanced Real-Time Monitoring, is pulling off. Is its job is to send, whether it's audio or an instrument track, its goal is to get it to your headphones or to your speakers with as little latency as possible.
As fast as possible.
As fast as possible. And so what that typically does is it means it bypasses the main fader. It bypasses any native effects like the tape or Neve summing or AU effects. But it allows you to use the UAD effects in real time still.
So repeat that last time. So Oxide, Studer, and Neve are all native?
Correct. Yep. So
Got
those are all happening native, and that's so they will, and similar to like how it would be in the real world, they they only really kind of affect the sound on playback. When you're in recording mode, it's just it's everything it can do to get that to your ears as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And the subtle help that those are giving you, it bypasses those in the meantime. The thing that you can do, the trick, and it kind of looks like you've done this already, is you can turn ARM off. So ARM, it's an optional thing.
Yeah.
You can disable it if you really want to monitor through those native effects, or even like the session we did yesterday with Peter Moshe. He was using Luna as like an effects box, and to be able to load up everything he wanted, we actually had to turn ARM off, but it was fine because it's he was doing reverbs and delays. And similar, it looks like that's kind of what you've arrived at here is, if you disable ARM, now you can monitor through everything, but you may just get a touch of latency on the keys.
Yeah, but I mean, for time delay effects and reverb and things like that, it's not the end of the world because that's going to be the case no matter what you're doing.
Exactly.
And you're not needing it to come in right on time because it's not supposed to be in phase per se with its own self. It's just an effect.
Exactly.
So I had this send going up. That is not gonna be good.
It is unhappy.
Yeah, I don't know if we can hit play on this bad boy. I might have to. Is there a short for solo?
Uh, there today, no. Next week, yes. So next week it'll be Shift S. Similar. You'll notice a lot of the shortcuts
That's what
are.
I just touched. That's what I was going for.
I
So.
know. Yep. It'll be in there next week. We've got to
Sweet.
update. We let it. Fab leaked it on Tuesday, so we're fully committing to it now. Yeah,
Okay.
we're adding Shift S, Shift I, Shift M, Shift R to control, record, input, solo, and mutes on
Oh,
tracks.
sick. So it's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So
That is. That
it
was
should
my next one. I was like, what?
right. And earlier
Yeah.
you're kind of asking about zooming and kind of being able to look, get an overview of
Yeah.
tracks and be able to zoom in quickly. So the ones the key commands I love for that are Control Option Command down arrow, and so that'll
Okay,
just
yeah.
that puts everything into the view.
Miss Pro Tools. Yeah.
Yep. And then you can do Control Option up and down arrow, and that will just make all the tracks bigger or smaller.
So like Pico down to like whatever
Jumbo.
you guys called it.
Jumbo, Mega.
Jumbo.
Is it? Yeah, I didn't even
Extra large.
Extra large.
It's just all these. It's the milkshake sizes.
Exactly. And then and I'm sure you may remember this one from Pro Tools too. So if anytime you select something, if you select a bit of audio or an instrument clip or whatever and press E, it'll automatically blow that up to fill your edit window.
Right, and it's toggle.
Exactly, and toggles on and off.
It toggles that.
And you can select whatever you select. You can select across tracks, and so I use this a lot for just something in this area. Boom, select it, hit E, make my changes,
Got you.
hit E, get back out of it.
And does the grid spacing? Is there independent grid spacing for the different E zoom functions, or does it stick to the same grid you have before?
Sticks to the same grid. Yeah, but there is a shortcut to change the grid size, which is Shift plus and minus.
I already set that up last night onto my my mouse. The top left and right.
Nice.
Keys can do that for me.
It's the most important one to have, right? Especially when you're doing MIDI or any editing arrangement stuff, is like
Yeah.
going between
I
bars
was like,
and
I can't keep
notes.
going back to that keyboard. Yeah. I instantly was like, okay, that's gotta go. But I mean, not gotta go. It's gotta get implemented. A ball works or whatever it's called.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. So let's try one more time. It's my renders is like steadily staying at like 80 to 90%. So I don't know if I'm gonna even be able to hit play on this bad boy.
Let's give it a shot.
So let's just and if not, then we'll just render down the instrument. I don't think so.
Nope.
Too bad.
Computer's like, no, bro, I can't, man.
Can't do it.
It's too
Not
hot
today.
in here.
It's actually so hot. So that's fine. What I'll do instead, I'll cook it down.
Nice. The commitment workflow is it actually doesn't suck. Like it's kind of it's similar. Like if you were recording like a real actually you want to select one track down from that. The one that you have right now is the audio track in your mix down set. There you go.
Got you.
That's the one. I'm
See
personally
my naming conventions.
It's
so flawless, right?
So flawless. I can tell
Instrument one.
you spent a lot of time really debating what to call each one of these tracks. Well, so
Goodness.
what else? What other kind of shortcuts or things have you been either finding or missing so far?
What was another one? What's the shortcut to change the view of certain things? I know, like for example, in Ableton, you can go like Option Command B or L to open up the instrument library or like the plugins area and the media manager, all that kind of stuff. I think I'm using those names wrong, but
You're basically trying to.
Ableton's not paying me.
You're trying to open stuff up basically over on the left hand side, right?
Exactly. Yeah. On the view, I know you have like the hamburger and then the vertical hamburger and then the man with a square head.
Yep.
If those are
Wait,
those are official names, right?
Wait, which hamburger? There's. Oh yeah. So yeah, hamburger, hot dogs, and the man with the square head.
Hot dog. I like that way better. Hamburger, hot dog, and square man. That's
Yep, up
great.
there on the view. And so
So
Square Man lets you hide elements of the GUI. Like if you don't say you don't need to see that master meter on the right hand side, that kind of lets you hide stuff, and especially when you're on a small display, that can be helpful for just saying like, yeah, like I'm sure I'm clipping the outputs. Who cares? Get out of my way. Like that's kind of help you select
okay,
it. But
I
then
got you.
the hamburger and hot dog are to get you between the edit window and the mix window. But the keyboard shortcut's the same as Pro Tools for that of Command equals.
Okay, sick. All right.
But what which
Nice. So those will be the key.
what was good? Which the Ableton ones, the B and L. I'm not sure I remember which ones those are.
That's like for the where like the instrument racks and all that stuff shows up.
Mm-hmm.
That pops up from the bottom, and then the other one is for the sidebar where your
The library.
navigation. And it's not your track listing. It's like the actual like plugins,
Available plugins.
samples,
Yeah.
exactly packs,
Mm-hmm.
racks, anything like that kind of stuff hangs out on the left.
Gotcha.
I was
Yes.
just wondering if there was yet a way to jump into those or hide them at a quick glance. So the hamburger and the hot dog and the square man is going to go for that.
Well, so those, so like options like being able to select presets, being able to select plugins, select inputs. Basically, all that's going to happen on that left hand. We call it like the focus panel, the far left side. So right now it's showing your track list, but then that kind of changes dynamically depending on what it is you clicked on. So like when you click on an insert, that now becomes your plugin list. When you click on a send, it now becomes your sends list. Like it's kind of always adapting and changing to whatever it is that you're going to need in the moment. Is basically
Got
their
you.
idea. And here, this is going to be a good way to show you a copy paste trick that is going to be super necessary. So like right now, what you bounced is that channel. So you bounced the sounds, it committed the tape, it committed that pull tech that you have on there, so it's committed to the
Right.
things on that channel. But the thing it didn't commit was the send. So
Send.
because the send
Yeah.
would be happening still all live.
Of course.
So if you command equals to go over to the mixer view, scroll down a little bit and you'll see the sends section. I'll show you a cool way to be able to copy and paste sends, which you may already know this is coming from console. Scroll down just a little. There you go. Is it buggy on your side too? Like I'm seeing it like.
Yeah,
Just-
that's why I turned off because that's why I asked about the native use of the summing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna turn you off for now. I'm gonna keep you at bare bones.
Yep.
Take the hood off. All the fancy bells and whistles. Just get the car on the road.
Yep. So here in the send section, on the left hand side of the mixer window, you see where it says modifiers, and it's got like power, remove, copy, set default.
Modifiers.
Oh, down just a little bit from where you were. There you go. Yep.
Modifiers. Got it. Yep.
These are really powerful kind of shortcuts for being able to quickly move sends or move inserts around. So if you hit,
Oh, I see. Okay, cool. So
so if-
instrument here.
exactly.
Yes. Copy.
Oh, you hit the send. Yep, and this is it.
And
There you go, and then boom, you got it. That's it.
that was it. Really?
Uh,
Does that exist in console already?
yes, yeah. These modifiers are in console as well, but
I've never used that. That's great.
me neither. I never touched these until we got into Luna, and then Matt or Drew or somebody on the office hour, was like, "Oh yeah, like here's how you quickly copy a send." I was like, "Oh,
Rather than doing Control Option Command V, paste into current automation type, and then it only working 10% of the time.
exactly." But the one thing is, like, I'm not 100% sure if it copied over automation, so we should check that before we
Yeah.
blast away the old track.
Command minus.
Well, actually, so command minus that's just going to toggle between. It's going to toggle all of them into automation. So yeah, the quickest way is exactly clicking on it brings up over in that focus browser and going down to it.
Got you. So now if I do this,
Yep.
Command C,
Uh huh.
go down,
Yep. you remember that? Yep. You can either just select the track or you can use the semicolon. There you go. And then V. Hit escape. There you go. Oops. It lost the selection area. This is the one thing that I get caught up every once in a while where like I'll be typing stuff in and it'll actually it was thinking I was trying to search for something. So hit escape real quick.
Yeah,
because you can see it kind of just blinking in that search area. There you go. Yep. See. Come
Got
down.
you. And then sick.
Boom. There it is.
They did it. Oh, sick. Okay, cool. All right. I think the Neve was having a hard time with the computer.
Yeah. This is kind of an older.
Baby, she's almost retired. She's the
I was
last
like,
week.
This is her last week, right?
Mail.
Did you go with the
laptop's in
new?
mail, just didn't arrive for this.
Did you go for the new 16-inch?
I did the 15 with the i9 8-core.
Nice. Oh yeah,
so should be all right.
Dude, you're about to have a real good time once that one arrives.
Dude, I know, man. And like, it was gonna ship Monday, and I was like, "That's just in time for UAE."
Yeah.
And then, the world isn't exactly how it's been the last little while, so should have expected that. So here's this little bong sound. Bong. Is actually one of the sounds in shape in this drum kit.
Oh,
and
cool.
I was like, it was like hecking sharp. It was like randomly off pitch somewhere.
Yeah.
So I found out this little fishing pole.
Yep.
Or this, whatever you want to call it, extrusion system, those two hammers that smash into each other.
Yep.
From Metallurgy World. If you drag it down, it goes to the 10th of a semitone.
It can get it's crazy precise. There's a few things in Luna that are like scary precise. The pitch on the track is one, and then also the tap tempo. I don't know if you've done that at all yet, but when you tap tempo, you get your tempo. You get your tap tempo down to a dot of a tenth of a beat.
Jeez. So how do you tap tempo? Is there a key for that?
So a couple of ways to tap tempo. First and the easiest one is when you create a new session. As part of the making a new session, there's a tap button right there. But then once you're inside of a session, the way to tap tempo again is you see the tempo ruler. Get dashed down a little bit. Yep, there you go. Yep. Hit the plus sign next to that. And boom, there that brings you back to being able to tap and adjust the tempo.
Okay, I was like super weirded out. I was like, man, how do they not have a tap right up top there?
I know.
There it is.
Yep, exactly. You got to go to the tempo change, and then it will, so like if you were to do that right now, it would change the tempo here. So if you want to change it globally for your whole session, you just got to put your playhead on 1-1 and then do the tap. It's a little sometimes it's caught me once or twice. I'm like, I just want to change my tempo real quick, and then of course I just changed the second half of the song, not the first half.
That will catch you.
Yeah.
I just got word. Now is the perfect time to drop some drums in.
Hell yeah!
So we're running this crazy tight schedule.
Yeah, I know you guys got to go right at 12,
Joel.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna send this right to Joel, and then see what he thinks about the drums and what he would do on top of it.
Hell yeah! Well, this one's one that you already bounced, right?
Oh, I did. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I didn't change anything for it. Oh yeah. So let me just say, Joel.
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
Up here.
Yo, buddy.
Hey.
Want to plug into this sassy boy? Oh, actually, you're able to hear him now.
I can hear you now, yeah. How's it going, man?
What's up? How you doing, Joel?
Doing good.
Nice.
We picked a day where there's like 7 million things going on. It's crazy right
It's
now.
the best, right? It's just what you wanted to add to an already busy day.
You know what? So Ontario, where we live, has just in the last week allowed groups of 5 to commingle again.
Nice.
So we are just like going for it. We're all itching to work right now, you know?
Got a lot of pent up creative energy coming out, right?
All that, dude.
Yeah.
How's the Luna going? This thing is wild, eh?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's basically the front. No, it's not the front. It would be essentially what a front end of console would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The console was an actual full console of like a
Right.
desk.
So it's literally like a console DAW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Console in DAW form.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like we strapped a tape machine and a Neve console to what we already were doing with console,
Yes.
and then just add. The cool thing a lot of people have asked, like, why make a new DAW when there's so many ones out there? And the big thing is, like, there's so much to learn from all of those. Like, so it's got bits and pieces and a lot of familiar workflows, familiar keyboard shortcuts. Like, if you're coming from Pro Tools,
Recorded, like a bunch of Pro Tools keyboard shorts took over.
No way.
So like I'll be like, band. Oh yeah,
That's
exactly
what it is.
I was expecting.
Nice to know those are public domain.
right? Well, and the cool thing is, like, it's heavily influenced obviously by stuff like Pro Tools, but there's also a lot of cool, like, Ableton and Logic borrowings
Like the
in
Logic
there.
Focus channel.
Nice.
How that pops up right beside like where the instruments
Oh,
or like
dope.
the stuff is on the left side.
How's the MIDI side?
The MIDI side is actually crazy. It's
Nice.
I'll show you.
That's my favorite thing about Ableton. That's why I use both. Like Pro Tools is the audio monster for playlisting and all that. I
Yep.
love Ableton. I know Logic is really good too for MIDI.
Yeah, for
But I've
composition.
heard that people are loving Luna, right? I mean, I hear you guys have a nice mix of this.
Well, it's got the cool, the biggest thing that Luna has over a lot of other ones is it has a sonic head start, right? So like on every channel, you can insert like an Oxide tape machine or a Studer tape machine and get some like analog stuff happening just on a track level. But then also it's got Neve summing built into the mixer, so you can have like a regular, it's an optional thing, so you're not being forced to always go through it. But what I'm seeing from the reactions online and even from hearing it myself is like it's basically giving your mixes a head start, like an analog feeling
Yeah.
head start, and you're just like you put that stuff on, press play, and you're like, oh yeah, like that's already better. Like it makes it so you don't have to even do as much on the individual channels.
Killer, man.
I noticed we don't have to do as much compression,
Yeah.
which I like on a on an old used to mix on an old SSL 9000.
Mm-hmm.
And this is less the case for like Sony MXP
Okay.
3000 and the SSL Duality.
Mm-hmm.
And MXP and like Duality definitely have different like summing processes,
Yeah.
or at least different ways of summing. And like it's funny to see where like in Pro Tools or something like that, where the faders or your peaks go all the way up to the roof, even though it's 32 floating point, nothing's kind of holding those in.
Yep.
And then you turn on like Neve summing, and it's like, oh, it just kind of floats in
We
this
just-
one spot. You don't have to have so much compression anymore.
You're nailing it, because that's really the benefit that those two are offering is it's a little bit of harmonic saturation, it's a little bit of it kind of softens things up in just a musical kind of non-linear way, and yeah, you end up finding that you need less compression because you got these little bites of compression in a sense happening across those.
Love it, man.
I won't not admit that I overdid it really fast. It was like my crest factor was like 3 dB, just like floating. Like,
It's like
it's really cool.
crazy crunchy, right? You're just like, yeah, this is feeling
Yeah.
good, and then like
Tokyo's guilty for just going too deep on the old culture vulture. We abuse the culture vulture.
Can I have
Yes.
17 more culture voltages on this track, please?
I'm gonna run back down. We're just reviewing the footage.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run back down.
And then I already sent you that file.
Oh, do you want me to go
Just
to the thing?
smash some drums on that, and then send me a bounce of it.
sick.
I'll drop it in.
Take care, brother.
yeah, you too. Good to see you, Joel. Yeah, man, it's so crazy how much of a head start the game changer of having those built in has been. And I am just like you. The first no, I'm still doing it. I can't admit I'm not doing it. I'm still overdoing Neve and tape on stuff all the time. And then I listen to it the next day. I'm like, that might be a little much.
Maybe it was a little much. But that brings me to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I just have a very percussive sound. Let's just put anything here. It's got something really percussive, like a glockenspiel. Something that distorts quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Is glockenspiel all the way down here? Ah. Nah, it's really just cowbells. Okay.
I was like, your glockenspiel sounds very cowbell-like.
Of all the things I picked, it was a cowbell. You know what? It's the universe is telling me something.
It was meant to be. This song
It was meant to be. It's a cowbell. Now, is there a shortcut for record? Like Command spacebar, which I actually use for Spotlight, so that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
so if you got a keypad, number 3 will work. If you record enable the track.
beauty,
Nice.
of course. Okay. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
And then, yeah, and then quantize is that little Q here.
Yep. And you can also get to it. Command U is the shortcut to open that up if you don't want to click
great.
on the button.
Like,
just like Ableton.
right. That is yeah. Oh, sick. That was just like that.
Uh-huh.
Let's get rid of this first part here. So there's no, unless, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no dedicated MIDI editor window. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. It's all integrated into one here. Yeah. So right now you see where it says.
So show me how to work.
Yeah. So where it says right now we're seeing view notes. So you can make it so you're looking at just the clip, and that keeps you from accidentally like editing notes if you don't want to. But by default, yeah, it's kind of clip and notes all in one. And what the header bar, where it's kind of more of a solid yellow across the top and the bottom. When you're in notes view, those will help you. That way you can do clip things like move the whole thing around. But then as soon as you go into it, then you're working on the notes. Yep, and then
I can fold it down.
Fold, especially for percussion stuff like this. When you do fold, it just is like, cool. Here's the pads that you were using, and here's those notes.
Perfect. Okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's that Chape. This part is actually kind of cool. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous, but if there was going to be anything that was going to be saved,
it's going to be the.
Yeah, it's just that. Let's go back to over here where I put that bong in time. Sick. So I got a couple ideas here.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to put in, if my computer will permit me. Let's check here. Oh, come on, baby, come on.
You can do it, honey. I do honestly. I do admire your dedication though to tuning that bong percussion, note by note by hand, to a 1/10.
I was like, I really happened. So minus 3.10 semis.
Yep.
Minus 1.110 semis. Yeah, and then I octaved it up. Oh, so did you guys write the Elastic Audio algorithms yourselves?
A couple of them we did. So, actually,
is that the Razor Blade one?
Mm-hmm, yep. So where it says warp, there's two. So there's Luna Razor Blade and Luna Polyphonic. Those are two UA made algorithms. And Razor Blade, that one is specifically works great with a very transient material like drums or bass or like picked guitar, like anything with that you want to preserve that transient. It does everything it can to preserve the front edge and the main like attack of every note, and then it does crazy math algorithm stuff to like figure out what to do at the end in terms of stretching or contrasting. But then
so it's envelope prioritizing.
Yep.
Versus tonal prioritization.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it works amazingly for drums. And then sometimes like if you have something more sustained like a piano or strings, it probably won't help you very much there, and that's where you'd want to go to more like a polyphonic mode.
Right. And what's the difference between the Luna Poly and the built-in Poly here?
The built-in Poly is the Poly algorithm that we're all used to, and the Luna Polyphonic is a new one that we've developed. So they're just slightly different approaches to the same problem, and it's kind of hard to recommend one over the other of like use this one or use
it's
this
content
one.
specific.
Exactly. Like I've had plenty of times where like the generic poly works great, and then other times where like the Luna poly just blows out of the water, and you're like, oh wow, now I hear I'm not getting the washiness that I was.
Got you.
So, but the one thing I did want to make sure that you get in for this session in particular is the tracks that we committed. So those first 2 tracks in your session.
Yes.
You notice the mode that they're in. They're in time mode, and your other tracks down here are in tempo mode.
Yeah.
So this is
Ticks versus.
Exactly, ticks versus samples. That's exactly what this is. So, whenever by default, most tracks in Luna, when you make a new track, they'll default to tempo mode. It's assuming you're here to make music, so you might change your mind and change the tempo, and it wants you to be able to do that. But when you drag and drop audio clips in, it respects those, and it says, "Great." Like I'm assuming this is a time thing, unless it has like tempo information encoded into it.
Right.
So yeah.
Unlike the default in Ableton, where if you drag a long file, it just becomes a random new tempo, and you're like, okay, I guess it's this speed now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So you always want to be aware of your time and tempo mode stuff, and and just kind of keeping an eye on that, especially if you're going to change your mind about the tempo. But if you don't make any warps, if you don't make any changes to the tempo, like it preserves the full fidelity of that file.
That's my next question. So full fidelity, the Complex Pro algorithm, I think is it Elastique by Synaptic? That is the back end
in Ableton.
in Ableton.
I think so, but I don't know for certain.
I heard a rumor. I've never seen it on like anywhere publicly, but I've heard a rumor that it either is or it could not be. It could literally just be a rumor that it's the Elastique algorithm.
Yeah.
Synaptic. Which is awesome, like unreal for pitching things in wild directions and then trying to play with the format and the envelope of it. But just turning it on and not touching the track and not editing it or not switching it or anything like that fundamentally does change it.
Yeah.
So does the polyphonic or any of the Elastic Audios, do they fundamentally change them even if they're in passive, like unwarped modes, or does it just not touch the audio until you force its hand?
Doesn't touch it until you need it to. Yep. And it's also, so the underlying audio engine in Luna is pretty special. It's it's obviously brand new, and we've been working on this for quite a while. It's incredible the way that you're able to mix and match these things. So you can actually mix and match sample rates in Luna. So if you were to drag in, if you bring in like an 88 file or a 44 file into a 48 timeline, it's like cool. It doesn't need to sit there and process it, or it doesn't care if you change your clock right now. Or sorry, the broadcast will care if you change your clock right now, but in normal
Let's test that out right now.
Okay, bye. It allows you to select whatever clock you want to be working at, but your timeline can be mixed sample rates, and in the background it's doing some magic to optimize those files for playback of whatever thing you're at. So the big use for this for a lot of people is to like track in, say you're tracking acoustic or drums or something where you want 96K, you want that full fidelity, and you want there's a little trick that I don't think a lot of people knew about with UAD is at higher sample rates the latency actually goes down. So at 96 kilohertz, you actually have half. It goes from like 1.6 down to like 0.8 or 0.9 milliseconds. You get an even faster experience. I know it's kind of crazy because everything's happening twice as fast. Processing wise. So yeah, it actually cuts down the latency to track at a higher sample rate, and you get a higher fidelity. But of course, when you go to process 96K, like your machine would literally just explode right now if you try to do a 96 thing. But
I was not going to suggest you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Glad you beat the punch.
But you can do. But what's cool then is that you could, for tracking purposes, you could record in at 96, and then as soon as you got your takes, you're like, cool, I'm happy with where we're at. And then you go, all right, bring that rate down to 48, and then let me edit and mix and produce and do everything else here at 48.
Right.
And then you can, at the end of the process, when you're just going to do an offline bounce, back up to 96, and again, it starts referencing, everything goes back up to 96 without, it's not doing a round trip of that sample rate conversion. It goes back to referencing the original 96K file, plus whatever processing you're now doing to it.
Got you. Like, and obviously, like in this case, it's probably not the best example to do it when there's 5 apps running.
Yeah.
But in normal world, we'd be able to run. So it obviously doesn't keep running at 96 in the background. It just kind of put it into a render like
Kind of like what Final Cut Pro
Cue?
X. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of doing this stuff in the background, and it can do it in real time. So like it will be, you can change the sample rate, press play, and go. You may notice the render meter going up, because it's thinking hard. It's trying to sample rate convert
Yeah.
in real time,
Right.
but it will do it as best it can, and then give it a few minutes, and before you know it, the meter will come back down, and now everything's kind of cached, and it's just kind of all happening in the background. And the goal, again, just like with ARM mode, is like we want to make this stuff simple for the user. Like we don't want this to be dialog boxes and like asking you how you want to do it. It's just like, cool, I see
Right.
you want to change sample rates. Let me
wanna
figure
work.
that out. I'll figure it out for you. You don't worry about it. Press play, have fun, keep making music.
That's sick. Well, I just got these bits in
Nice.
from Joel Zine. Let's see if this is right.
Nice. A little retro kind of drum machine vibe.
Yeah, it's great. Sick, and it's obviously played for real. So we'll have to go into that elastic audio and see.
So that's him. That's him on like an electronic kit playing in a part.
Yeah, it's on a Yamaha DTX kit.
Oh, cool. So
So-
that's a good way of injecting some human feel into an electronic thing, right?
Yeah, actually, I didn't think about that. I was just about to slap elastic audio on and just fix it all in one shot. But you have a good point. Let's dial it in.
Well, and also you were about to hit a touch of disappointment. One of the things you can't do yet is you can't quantize audio warping. So you can quantize MIDI, but the quantized warps, we don't have that in V1 yet. We've gotten lots of feedback on that one because obviously
Got you.
lots of
So
us rely on stuff like that to be able to quickly, take human performances and make them more robot.
Inhuman. Well, then let's see how good Joel really is. I mean,
That's pretty good.
that's pretty darn good.
What does he do this for the living or something?
Yeah. What a weirdo, right? A musician. Okay, let's try that in the song. Wow, she's going so slow. My goodness. Come on, baby.
She's like, dude, it's Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely on its last birthday. It's 95%. Come on, render engine. You got it. Sick. Sounds great.
Nice, dude.
So how much time do we got together still?
Well, it's 15 past. I know you guys have got another session booked in there, so I think unless you have any other pressing questions, man, this might be a good place to leave it for today, and then and let you guys get back to what you got to do. Yeah. Any other parting questions or thoughts?
Yes, crazy question. It might be a little whew, this is great. Just send this here. That's great. Man, it's so fast dropping stuff in here. It's amazing. What I'd like to know is, does delay compensation operate Luna-wide across sends as well as queues as well as lines? Like, is there a universal delay compensation that talks to each other within Luna?
Yes. So the way delay compensation works for right now, there's a couple of things that are not delay compensated at the moment. So like line outputs. So if you say you have multiple audio tracks and you're trying to send them all out, multiple line outputs. Say for like an analog summing. Those aren't delay compensated the way that we would all like them to be yet, but there's a workaround that we've shown off here on office hours, where by just putting a high latency plugin on your main fader, it now delay compensation basically it looks for like which one of these channels has the most amount. What's the biggest one, especially if it's near the end of the chain, like on the main fader, and it's like great, everybody do what you got to do to match, so we all line up here.
Who's the biggest bully in the playground? And everyone has to wear this size backpack now so they don't get punched.
That's it. Exactly. I
wasn't beat up in high school.
That wasn't real life right there. But so yeah, you can put like something like the ATR 102 or the Precision multi-band, something.
Or as Joel suggested, 14 culture pulsers.
Yes. Absolutely. Just put 14 on, bypass half of them, crank the rest of them. You're gonna have a great mix. It might be a little extra spicy, but.
Yeah, it might be a little spicy, but just constant noise at 18K. It's like at minus 3 dB left, just like.
Exactly.
Like, guys, this new noise record is amazing.
Yeah, but so that's the one place where delay compensation isn't perfect yet. But everything else, Q outputs, main outputs, routing it stuff inside the box, creating sub mixes, sub buses, anything you can throw at it. Everything's perfectly delay compensated inside the box.
And there's no actual playback engine. Like there's no option to change the playback latency or buffer, I should say.
Yeah, there's no buffer sizes. It's a fixed buffer, and it's doing some of that magic stuff happening in the background to be able to have when you put a track in a record or input monitor, it automatically jumps out of that the main audio buffer and is now going as fast as it can to your cues and to your monitor.
No buffer.
It's rad, right?
That's madness right there. Those are business socks you guys are wearing.
Well, and that's people. That's the reason why DSP still really matters even in 2020. The reason why it makes sense to have an Apollo and to have DSP built in on board on an Apollo is so you can do stuff like that, where you can say, great, input A to D converter, process with whatever UAD plugins you want, and back out through a D to A converter, all with like a millisecond and a half or less of latency. Like it's just you end up you don't feel disconnected at all from your sound or from your sources, but you're still getting the high quality audio experience the entire time. That's madness. You can only do that with DSP, which is it's people who've owned like HDX rigs or TDM rigs, big studio, you're used to that speed, you're used to that sort of power. But now it's happening through Apollo, and it's a lot less expensive than HDX rigs, especially how much I remember when I first starting at studios being like, wow, you guys are literally spending tens of thousands of dollars on these systems, to have HDX cards and IOs and all that sort of stuff. So the fact that now you can buy a twin and you've got some of that same functionality and that same power, but in a little box on your desk for under $1,000, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do a real mix, you're gonna get an Octos.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna start cranking on some DSP, obviously.
You're gonna start juicing that DSP, and I mean, when I originally bought the Twin, I bought the Octo 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
You can do.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's gonna be too tasty, so I'm gonna have to get this.
You're gonna, yeah.
I was wasn't kidding myself.
Exactly. You were being real to you. You were being honest, and I'm gonna want more DSP.
Yeah. Backpack. I travel with these guys around the world with the Octo and the Twin Mark II in my Pelican, and it's on my back. So I'm able to bring 10 any venue.
Yeah. Well, dude, that was such a cool hack that you showed me when we had chatted last week. Was a lot of people are using rack cases or a suitcase, depending on what you like to travel with. But you had a great hack of you bought a camera backpack, And then since it has all the inserts, you can customize it and fit whatever you want in there. You had made a perfect spot for your satellite and your twin right in there.
Yeah.
So it's laptop, satellite, twin, mics. You had your road case was highly impressive.
Right here.
Yeah, look at that.
And then
Boom. There she
and
is.
then you got the Apollo.
Uh-huh. Satellite right below. And then, yeah, so power adapters, microphones, mic cables, laptop, everything all in one bag, right?
Yeah. 2 different mics, KM184, different universal adapters for everywhere. Good to go.
Hell yeah. Nice, man. Yeah, your computer is definitely unhappy right now.
Yeah, it's because I put all the Neve something on, like all of them at once. See how hard the render has to think about it.
Right?
It's definitely not a case study of what a regular computer would be doing. It's pretty hot up here.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to check back in with you when you're on the new system with the new laptop and have even more time with Luna. I'd love to have you back on, man, because it's been fun to kind of answer these questions, geek out, and I love how you love to dive into like the nuts and bolts and the details about like delay compensation and all this stuff. Like
I love geeking out on this stuff.
I'm with you right there. But dude, so yeah, dude, this was such a cool demonstration. It's really cool to see how you're getting along inside of Luna already. And yeah, dude, thanks so much for hanging out with us. For everyone that's watching, where should they go to find and learn more about you and the band and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, walkofftheearth.com, where we have all our tour dates and stuff like that. Obviously, tour is going to be on an ongoing basis. We're making sure that we can still run those and get those back on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I'm Tokyo Spears, your friendly neighborhood Frengineer. So you can find me at Frengineer on Instagram. I'm always down to chat about questions and this kind of stuff. You absolutely nailed it. The nuts and bolts is what matters to me. Like, what kind of algorithm is a polyphonic thing doing?
Mm-hmm.
Can't leave it at bypass. Like, will it alter my audio if I've spent 3 hours for getting this drum take and I just casually have it on polyphonic? Is it actually changing my audio?
Yep.
It doesn't. You don't think it matters till it does. Right?
Exactly.
So,
until that one time that you hear it and you're like, wait a second, that's not what I remember. What happened
my
here?
transients are not that mushy. I don't remember the transients being that mushy.
Yep. Nice. Well, awesome, man. Well, Tokyo, man, it's super fun to hang out with you and geek out inside of Luna here. And look forward to doing this again with you sometime soon.
Absolutely, dude.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me on, bud.
Talk to you later.